It is well known that cigarette smoking is the largest single risk factor for premature death in developed countries. However, almost 34 million Americans still partake. This film is aimed at exploring what influences young people to start smoking. We asked a few people and noticed that the media and social influences were the most significant reasons for starting. What's your name?
Grace Ryan.
Kenny Snyder.
My name is Adeline.
When did you start smoking?
I started socially at the age of 12, and then when I was 15, that's when I actually started like smoking for real. I would roll like rollies out of my parents' clinches and shit.
Yeah.
I would smoke one after school, and then that would turn into one before school and after school, and then that slowly turned into one every couple of hours.
Right.
When I was 16 years old. Yeah, when I went to Europe for an exchange in high school.
Why did you start to smoke?
Because it was more accessible and more people my age also smoked.
So it was like a cultural influence
Yes.
and like peer.
I think I was like 12 or 13. Yeah, at least to my knowledge, there wasn't really any rhyme or reason to it. It just kind of was like influenced by my friends and stuff at the time. But
Right. Your dad smokes.
mm-hmm.
Does your mom?
Mm-hmm.
Both of them do.
Yeah.
All right, but they don't know that you do.
No.
When in the social situation, like when I started the first time when I was 12, my friends were doing it. It's always that classic situation, you know. It's just like, oh, I wanted to be one of my friends, and God, I don't know why. It was the thing to do, I guess. All my friends were doing it at the time, and it felt right because my parents did too.
Yeah.
Have you ever smoked in your life?
Yes, once.
And what was your experience with it?
I did not like it. It was very uncomfortable. I wanted to like it because I imagine, like, I perceive it as, I know that it's bad, but I still perceive it as cool, though I know that. And it's not something that I want to be addicted to, but before I tried it, I thought that I would maybe do it socially.
According to the American Lung Association, a majority of adult smokers began before the age of 18. They also state some of the main reasons that smoking is taken up are that their parents are smokers, it is seen as rebellious, and the tobacco industry marketing. Do you think that like advertisements or like watching movies with people smoking kind of, you think that had any effect on you wanting to smoke?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I was watching, I didn't say this earlier, but when I first like started smoking and decided like, oh, like this can be something I do, I was watching a Beatles biopic where they were smoking Rolly cigarettes. And I was like, oh, I've got clinches in my ashtray from like just my fucking friends hanging out and smoking in my room. And I got papers and stuff, so I rolled clinches into a paper and smoked that with my window open while watching the movie, feeling like, yeah, I'm one of them.
Yeah. Yeah, dude, I remember watching like Clint Eastwood movies and shit, and he was always so fucking cool, and he would be smoking like a cigar or a cigarillo.
Yeah.
Dude, I just know I'm gonna smoke when I grow up.
Oh yeah. I mean, they don't advertise for cigarettes anymore. They do
Yeah.
like the whole
Well, not on TV and stuff, but like the signs outside of Citgo's are all super colorful and stuff.
you mean one of these signs? I got that sign.
Yeah. Stuff is really like it draws you in.
Yeah.
I definitely, in the media, I've never felt pressure from friends or anything, but it's hard to think of specific examples, but one is Breakfast at Tiffany's when she has that really long cigarette holder and it just looks so regal, and a lot of, I don't know, and then when you think of like angsty teen movies, the cool recluses usually go out and smoke the cigarettes behind the trash cans or behind the high school. So it kind of has that association in my mind. Yeah, I have like dreams sometimes where it's kind of the battle between like, oh, I see this as something cool that seems fun, but then there's this other part that's like, don't do it.
Yeah, I definitely feel as though family and social life is a much bigger factor than media, especially since like opinions have changed so radically within the past few years towards it. But I mean, I do see like that there's definitely like an ongoing romanticization of like drug use in general. I don't know, because I mean, especially in media nowadays, I feel as though it's not as apparent as it was for the older generations. So obviously, if older generations are influenced by it, they're probably going to take it up, and if your parents do it, you're probably going to do it, which I feel is much more relevant than like current media.
Right.
I'm sure all of us can think of movies or TV shows that have made smoking look cool, but we see more ads about cigarettes than many of us may notice. Although tobacco ads are highly regulated, the average American sees them every day. For example, every gas station and convenience store, especially those in lower economic areas, have tobacco products in plain view behind the counter, which every customer faces when purchasing goods. There are also often cigarette brand signs and prices posted on the window.
Have you noticed any like stigmatization or like changes to social situations since starting?
Right. Not so much in person because I've always been around people who did.
Right.
So it wasn't like I never really felt like ostracized or anything. But I definitely noticed like on social media, whenever there's a post like featuring it or whenever it's just in there, I will see like comments sort of like, I mean, rightfully so, like shaming the person for doing it or sort of like discouraging it, or some of them are kind of mean, but like I do see it quite often. So I feel as though there's definitely like a mounting negative sentiment towards it, especially within this generation, which is good.
Right.
Normally the casual like, oh, that's bad for your lungs.
Right.
You keep doing that, but no one's ever been like, you're gross because you smoke. I've never gotten fully like judged for smoking.
Have you noticed changes to social situations?
I mean, sometimes it requires like to be worked around, like we have to accommodate like like finding the supplies needed for that, but it hasn't grown to be too much of an impact.
Although some interviewees did not perceive much stigma, there certainly is against cigarette smokers. There is a common perception that smokers are antisocial. This then often leads to smokers feeling ostracized and devalued or discriminated against. Since a majority of smokers are in a lower socioeconomic class, there is often more judgment and negative connotations that go along with this. Have you noticed any health issues?
I have a cough. And just like shortness of breath and shit, but mainly just I have a cough. That's the most annoying one. That's the only downside, I think, actually, because I get no filter, which makes it a lot worse for you.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to save money.
When you think of a person that smokes, what kind of person do you think of?
Honestly, just a regular person. I don't really have any ongoing like ideas of what they might look like just because I've been around them all my life, and obviously like I know that they're all different and they're all just human beings.
Do you think that people who don't smoke have like negative connotations when they think of smokers?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess rightfully so, but I wouldn't say so much as negative as just like thinking they're unhealthy, but not like actually some people do think it's gross, but like kind of is. So
Yeah,
That's a guy I could hang out with because it's always good to have a friend when you go outside to smoke. Cigarettes help at parties too.
No, they definitely do.
They have a whole social aspect to it.
Yeah, they do.
You know what I mean? Even like as far as like what I said earlier, someone coming up to you to bum a smoke off of you, Like you can build a relationship off of that because you're bumming with smoke, and then you can strike up a conversation.
So you've made a lot of friends because of smoking, you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Have you ever tried to quit?
Numerous times, a lot of the times successfully, but I don't know why it sort of happened again, but I don't know.
Obviously they weren't successful.
Well, they were successful at the time.
Right.
But yeah.
Are you going to stop eventually?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, hopefully like now will be permanent.
I never tried to formally quit. I mean, once I got in trouble and I like in a huff was like, fine, here's my ashtray, here's my cigarettes, I'll fucking quit. But I knew I wasn't gonna.
Yeah.
I've cut down here and there.
So do you want to quit eventually?
At some point, I'm sure I will, but not right now.
Yes, pretty much everyone I know who smokes isn't happy with the fact that they're addicted.
Have you tried to quit?
Yes.
And you found it difficult to do that?
Yeah.
You think, I mean, they, like, the big tobacco obviously target certain demographics of people, you think?
Yeah, no, for sure. I mean, I don't know. I remember seeing this one thing where like the majority of tobacco sales are done in like places where like it's very like minority heavy as opposed to like, you know, the suburbs and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, they definitely target certain social groups, which is not great.
So do you think there's something that could be changed for high school age kids that would make them less inclined to smoke and drink?
I do think something that would help is normalizing alcohol and cigarettes and not creating stigma around it, because as a child you see it as this kind of forbidden, scary, bad thing, and then once you become a teenager and you're all rebellious and stuff, you want to do scary, bad things. And so if from the get-go alcohol isn't portrayed as like forbidden fruit, I think that teens would be less likely to treat it as something that they can use to show that they're rebellious.
Why do you think teenagers especially are very drawn to smoking or drinking?
I think drinking especially is done socially, which is the place that I think it should be, but so it also has the effect of bringing people closer together and taking down that extra layer of caution that we have a lot in our daily lives and everything. My perception of what happens when our friends and acquaintances drink together, more vulnerable and take more risks that we wouldn't be willing to take. So I think I mean, at some points, like when you're younger, this is what people are doing who are older than me, who I respect. This is how I get to be in, and like it's curiosity, and then it becomes more, oh, I want a different feeling. I want to feel differently around people.
Thank you.
Smoking has always depended on marketing to hook its customers, just like any other product. While many people smoke because of friends and family, it is clear that big tobacco markets towards those who are especially vulnerable to addiction and to media influences. However, no matter who you are, we are all influenced, consciously or subconsciously, by these media and marketing influences.